across phone lines for 5 years, and it freaked out the university people so much that they switched them off. Because for 5 years they were talking, and no one knew what they were saying because they created a language of their own that was designed to support AI, not support humanity. So these are some of the big challenges, and the reason I wanted to spend some time framing this for you is because anything that you guys do in the future, if you're fulfilling these three potential needs of humanity, the need to live longer, the need to be happy, and the need to be powerful, as an organization, you will succeed. Because these three needs, humanity is going to go after whether you like it or not. Okay. Elon Musk, one of my favorite crazy innovators of our time, right? He says, if you're not failing enough, you're not innovating enough. Pakistan mein, failure is a dirty word. It's a 4-letter word. Although it's not technically a 4-letter word, I know, but it is treated as an expletive. You must not fail. Because failure is seen as weakness, and weakness is not acceptable. My point on this is, and Elon Musk's point on this is, if you're not failing, that means you're playing inside your comfort zone. You're playing inside what you know is possible. Right? So push yourselves. You have to get out of your comfort zone. This term, Anthropocene. Yes, sir.
Can we take a picture if we want to have pictures of your presentation?
Of course you can.
Okay, thank you.
But if you post it somewhere, then please give credit to the author. That's it.
Thank you.
I'm more than happy to, and I think Vidya is actually recording the event as well. So, in our age, man is the dominant factor on the planet. We affect everything, right? We affect the climate. We affect tidal waves. We affect the tides themselves. Our actions are causing changes to such huge factors in our lives that we don't even realize what it is that we're affecting right now. But man is the dominant factor in today's day and age. So let's look at a couple of questions around innovation. So the first question that we must ask is, what is the human angle? How does innovation affect humanity? And I wanted to talk about some disadvantaged groups that exist in today's world that would benefit greatly from innovation. The first one, women and girls. Now you might say, sitting in this room, I see a lot of women who are clearly not disadvantaged. They're empowered, they're here because they need to be here, they're here because they deserve to be here. But there's still only 5 of you, and the population of Pakistan is 50-50 more or less. And this is a padha likha mahal in a padha likha company in a padha likha part of Pakistan. Now think about the situation of women in Africa, think about the situation of women in the rural areas of Pakistan. You know this, I know this. So, Kareem, one of Pakistan's first female Kareem captains, was shot and killed by her own husband in Peshawar. For what? Because she dared to make a change? Have you guys seen the movie Motorcycle Girl? Not yet? Please go watch it. It's a real life, it's based on a true story of a girl who rode a motorcycle several thousand kilometers in Pakistan by herself to fulfill a dream that her father had. Right? How about disabled people? No one knows the number of disabled people in Pakistan because this is a taboo topic. We don't talk about the disabled or the differently abled. We hide them away. We try and protect them from society, but actually we're protecting ourselves, right? We don't want our neighbors to look at us and say, "Oh, bichara, kitni mushkil hai, kitni azmaish hai." The numbers of disabled people in Pakistan is probably 10 million. We have no idea because there's no database, there's no collection or archive of people who are differently abled in Pakistan, because it's not something that we look about. Forget about LGBTI individuals. We shun this whole community. And there's some religious background to this, but there's also a general lack of tolerance, a lack of understanding. Migrants and refugees. I will talk about migrants and refugees. Do you know that approximately 1% of the world's population right now is considered migrant or refugee? As in they cannot go back to where they came from. 1% of the world's population is on the move. That's a big number. That's a huge number of people that need some kind of work.
Excuse me,
yeah.
One question. I don't question the attributes of the disadvantaged groups that you mentioned. But in what way do you consider that innovation would benefit them?
I'll show you right now. Coming to that. But that's a great question. Because there are different perspectives on innovation. There's the commercial angle, which everyone looks at and says, oh man, I wish I'd invented the iPhone. Because, you know, it's worth like $500 billion or $800 billion, whatever that you know. But there has to be a greater motivator. And I believe that in Pakistan, we as a nation, we are one of the most charitable nations in the world. We do more silent charity as a country than pretty much anyone else that I know of. And this is a national attribute. We believe that you must give with the right hand in such a way that the left hand doesn't know that you're giving it. And it's hundreds of millions of rupees. This country is running on this. It's not running because of government. It's certainly not running because of regulation or regulators or enforcers. It's running because of people who are stepping up and actually making a difference. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. The United Nations has come up with a platform called Sustainable Development, Sustainable Goals. Is it even possible to be sustainable in today's world? Personally, I think the answer is yes. And there are companies and individuals who are putting in huge amounts of effort to move towards a zero hunger environment, where no one goes hungry in the world. That's huge, if you think about it, right? No poverty, wow. And poverty is, again, different definitions of what is poverty. In Pakistan, it used to be if you were below the poverty line, you were making less than $1 a day. Right? Now I think that number is $2 a day because of inflation or whatever has taken place. But poverty is defined very differently. The poor in the US, or for that matter in the Nordic countries, have a very different definition than the poor in Pakistan. The poor in Sweden are like the middle/upper middle class of Pakistan, because the state has accepted its responsibilities and is doing things to actively make their lives better. This is amazing. So from a societal concept, if you look at the Nordic countries and you look at the quality of life there, it is absolutely wow. Absolutely wow. So what should we work on when we innovate? Should we be working on climate change? For those of you who have not studied climate change, please study climate change, because it's going to change your life. And one of the first countries in the world that is likely to be affected is actually the US. In fact, the first city to go underwater with rising water levels is Florida. And the US, ironically enough, is the biggest single contributor to climate change in the world. And they're also the biggest denier of climate change in the world. They're pulling out of the biggest accord, the Paris Accords, on climate change. They're actually pulling out of it because you've got Mr. Trump in the White House. Jesus. Can you address the global inequality that exists today? I'm not even sure if it's 1% versus 99. Now it's like 0.1% versus 99.9% because the range of inequality is growing wider and wider. Do you guys know what the garbage patch is in the ocean? So there are 5 rivers in the world that contribute 70% of the world's garbage to the ocean. One of them is in Pakistan, the Indus, because it collects from 5 rivers, and 3 of them are in India, and I think one of them is in Bangladesh. So we are putting an amount of garbage into the ocean that has created a floating pile of garbage the size of Texas, which means it's roughly the size of half of Pakistan. That's the size of the garbage patch in the ocean. It's floating. It's just there, and it's being added to because the tidal waves, the currents, bring garbage to the patch. And it's growing bigger every day because we're throwing plastic into the ocean at an unprecedented rate.